was really curious what you guys think about men doing porn and OnlyFans versus women, because obviously you have your opinion about women doing it. So her boyfriend, for example, who is sorry to single you out. No. Like, what? How do you think that influences the relationship between a man and a woman versus the opposite, where the woman is the one who's doing it?
I mean, I can chime in real quickly.
Yeah, you're the one, right?
Like, it has had zero impact on my dating life. Precisely zero. Like, I've dated girls who are super religious. My last 3 girlfriends were all extremely...
Actually, that is true.
Would you guys agree? Would you guys agree?
Well, again, the data would show that women are far less interested in a man's body count than the other way around. Again, this is, again, 37 culture study that they show that pretty much exclusively. Also, women are far more interested in a man's ability to acquire resources, about 100% more than the other way around.
But aren't men now more likely to, I think even Buzz in like 2021, Corinne Lowe, the one that Richard Reeves mentioned, that men now are rating women as more attractive when they make more money than in the past.
I think if I had 2 to pick from and one of them was a millionaire, I could see that. I could see it as a tiebreaker, but I don't know.
Icing on the cake.
Yeah, I see it as icing on the cake.
Like, how hot is she?
My girlfriend was broke when I met her. I could not have cared less how tall she was or how much money she made.
So like the studies where they bring like 2 million people and they put pictures, and then even for men and women, and they put different income.
No. You're talking about the one where they put them in different outfits? Or
No.
was a McDonald's
I'm talking about
worker?
the Corinne Lowe one, the economist one, who put like, they took 2 million, I think, dating app users or whatever, and they put like a picture of me, and then they put how much money I make, whatever. And when I made more money, I was rated as more attractive by men.
Well, I think there's no way you wouldn't be rated more attractive by men if it's the same physical form and we have 2 people to choose from. Right. But here's the thing.
I'm more attractive. I make more money.
But how much? But
you are not more arousing.
Yo, this is what I mean when I say you argue in bad faith.
No, I mean that's literally
I want you to consider the other one. It was Gad Saad.
Even Bus found this in
No foundation, bro.
The one Gad Saad referred to when he was on Joe Rogan, where he talks about they showed a man in 3 different outfits, and the bottom one being McDonald's, and then they did a woman in 3 different outfits, and the bottom one being McDonald's, and none of the women said that they would date the guy in the McDonald's outfit, and then the man who had the Rolex and looked like very wealthy, many of the women said I would consider going out with him, but there was no difference in the 3 photos for women.
So you're right that still men care less, but I'm saying that we're seeing as time goes on, men are caring more and more than they did in the past, and that typically
could it be because they're all poor now? Is that what that they're all making so much money now.
And here's the other thing too.
We're like broken, starving. Please feed us.
Who is it that cares? It's the men that you're not attracted to. The men that care about a woman's income a lot of the times are the guys that women inherently aren't attracted to anyway. And here's the other thing too. You just said it yourself. You answered your own question. Oh, well, it's the same picture. One says 100,000, another one says 50. Well, yeah, the guy's going to go with the girl that makes 100K because he's like, okay, she makes more money.
No, but it wasn't just the same. What I'm saying is they put a bunch, and they found overall men were rating women as more attractive.
Do you know what the correlation was?
Again, you're missing the biggest thing. Looks come first. Everything like finances is like a distant like 7th place.
But it's becoming more and more like men. This idea that men don't care. Men are finding women more attractive when they make more money.
Yeah, and that should be raising the marriage rate, but it fucking isn't. So
it is for us. It is for the women making a lot of money and are most educated. It's raising it for us.
They're not getting any.
I can't get a college education. I can't get a job in education. I can't get a job in fucking in psychology.
Speak real quick.
Can I talk? Or
hold on, wait. She was first.
All right, and then we'll go to you two.
I just have one thing to say to Sterling. So my boyfriend does OnlyFans, so you guys are in like formerly same career field.
Retired repenting.
But that's what he says. He says like a lot of like porn stars, like former porn stars, they'll like go into the business, make a shit ton of money, and then like try to like turn it around and like try to leave it in the dust, and it's like, but you still
not a lot.
Unless he's doing gay stuff.
But only the big ones. That's the thing. Like
even
Mia Khalifa, they're like,
He knows.
No, there's about like 4. There's about 4. Let me give you some perspective. So when I was working in Los Angeles as a male talent, right, I am working with about a roster of about at least 1,000, if not 1,500 women, right, across the country. The male talent pool, at most, across LA, Vegas, Miami, and the rest of America, 50 dudes who are regularly shooting.
There's a great book on the a movie on this. It's called After Porn Ends. Have you ever seen it? No. You should definitely watch. Just skip to the end. At the very end, they go after what happens. Have you seen this movie?
I have. Yeah.
And at the very end, you just see all the women. They go back into porn. Several of them get back into drug addiction. Yep. It's just horrible. And the guys are playing golf. One of them opened a law firm. Like absolutely, they had families. It just doesn't seem to have the same effect being sexually promiscuous for men as women.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And there's the exception to the rule, but at the end of the day, like everything you're saying right now may be factual based on what you've been through, but that does not necessarily.
I didn't speak about my anecdotal
I know, but
I brought up stats. My anecdotal experience being.
But would you agree that stats are lagging, and also something like social media is such an exponential factor and something that is growing at such a rapid rate that this could be the end all and be all that are literally breaking or making stats in the next couple of years.
Sure. So like Myron speculated, we're going to see this actually because all I'm saying is right now. It's not making these real world effects. I'm looking at
Would you be that surprised if you saw them?
I wouldn't.
Would you be mind blown if you saw what he said actually play out over the period of the next 5 years?
I can vehemently agree that I would be mind blown if the stuff that's said on this podcast were
actually play out?
Borne out in data.
Well, it'll be a fun 5 years from now.
Wait. What specifically? What specifically?
What do you mean? That if all the things you guys say, that if men and women are doing these more traditional things and that men are dating all these 19-year-olds that are virgins that aren't educated, that all of a sudden it's going to be really great. A lot of the stuff you guys say, like if all of that starts to actually play out in the data, if we're seeing this great increase in hypergamy where all of a sudden people aren't marrying people at the same...
I never said don't get girls that aren't educated.
It's not an increase of hypergamy.
I never said that.
Go ahead, sorry.
What I said is that it's okay for a woman to be educated. It's just that men don't necessarily care for as much as women tend to think, and we don't necessarily care about their career as much. Now should you? Should you care? It shouldn't be the main factor. It shouldn't be like a deal breaker if a woman's educated or not.
Well, I have a question then because IQ is highly heritable, right? And children that are born, maternal education is one of the greatest factors in childhood development.
But not in IQ. It doesn't develop IQ.
No, but IQ is also highly
high.
I agree, but like for instance, like it depends what level of education, right? Like I scored in the top 2% on the LSAT. Like I've never taken an IQ test, but like IQ is highly heritable. And even if we're just looking at maternal education, children born to parents that are mothers that are educated score way higher proficiency in math, science, etc.
Because they have higher IQ. It's not the other way around. It's not like my Harvard degree didn't make my children smarter. It's like I had a higher IQ, which got me
shouldn't you, if you're shouldn't you be selecting for that if you want your children?
Sure. But that's not what you asked though. You said should you be, and the thing is, our ability to be attracted to a certain thing is not our choice because attraction isn't a choice because our attraction mechanisms are based in 178 million years of mammalian evolution, 3 million years of hominid evolution, and 200,000 years of Homo sapien evolution.
I get it, but my point is that if you're doing a show where you're giving advice to men, I think good advice would be find a woman who's smart and is college educated because it's going to be better for your kids. If you're just going to say you like what you like, then what the fuck is the point of the show? The point of the show is we're giving men advice on who makes a good partner, what to look for, self-improvement.
Bitch, you show your titties on Instagram. And
that's not an argument. That's not a good argument.
Not a good example.
Here's the thing.
I'm not talking about me.
You're dismissing, and I've noticed this. You're dismissing an enormous amount of what we talk on this podcast, and you're generalizing things that aren't necessarily even true. So that's fine. You're going off of stereotypes, but you're missing an enormous amount of what we teach on the pod for guys to be
your
successful.
Advice is dog shit, by the way.
Dog shit.
Yeah, I wanted to.
Guys, don't fucking attack her personally, man.
Bro, I don't give a fuck, man.
Man, come on, man. Shut up.
Yeah. What I wanted to say before is that like there are studies that do showcase that men do care a certain level about education because of that exact reason. Because you can talk about mammalian evolution, and a lot of it is not just like being able to produce, but making sure that your kids can thrive and survive. Because if your kid basically reproduces and dies in 2 seconds,
for sure. But the thing is, the heritability of education, of IQ, is not something we even knew 50 years ago. Yeah. So that doesn't fit in evolution. But my point is, I also don't need to be excessively intelligent to replicate. So from a genetic, now, should I care? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not saying I shouldn't. What I'm saying is that doesn't make my wiener harder. No. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree with you, but you shouldn't just go by what makes your wiener harder.
For sure.
Okay.
All right. What did you have to say?
I was gonna. Sorry. Okay. I was gonna say that just because like you don't necessarily like know it consciously doesn't mean that there aren't like subconscious factors that influence it, right? So for example, like let's say virality, like a person being able to be like sexually active to begin with, it might not be like a factor that like we are able to see at firsthand, but then like throughout interactions or whatever, you're able to gain more of a consciousness for it. And I guess what I'm trying to say overall is that like yes, education matters. I think education, like being able to talk to someone, is the way that intelligence shows. That does affect like attraction. And then on top of that, like, I think the way that human society has been evolving, it's been evolving to not just have many children, but to have maybe fewer children, but children that thrive, children that are doing better, children that are not like dying in the fields, children that are actually like able to gain like higher and higher statuses. So I think that's why you've like seen a shift in like lower fertility that isn't necessarily bad. Okay, I'm done.
I have something to say.
All right, what did you have to say?
I mean, I forgot what I was gonna say because it's like been like half an hour. But I just want to say that men and women both have, you know, standards, and you know, if you don't apply to some standards, you know, then you'll have someone that will like apply to your standards. So
if you're a female, yeah.
Okay.
it goes both ways though.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
For women are way more selective than men are.
Yeah, but men are selective too.
Not nearly as selective as women.
How do you
like not even close.
Do you know every single woman in the world?
What?
Women are way more selective.
That's just biology.
obvious.
Like
biology.
If you take the most, let's say the most selective guy, he's still not going to be as selective as the most promiscuous woman.
Can you do that now?
What do you mean?
Like, can you select the most selective guy and compare that now as a fact?
Okay, how many guys do you reject that talk to you? If 100 guys talk to you, how many do you actually sleep with? Maybe 1, 2?
You're somehow trying to pretend that you're not selective in order to make your point, but you are selective. You probably reject 99% of the men who talk to you.
It's part of our biology.
And men don't reject 99% of the women they talk to. That's what he's saying. Inherently, you know this to be true. And again, that's the reason why you have it's a parental investment hypothesis in evolutionary psychology. You have the larger sex cell, therefore you're supposed to be pickier.
But that's not something to be proud of.
We haven't married children for 9 months,
right now.
and you're saying being selective is not something to be proud of.
Real quick, I'm just curious. One last thing. Do you
I mean, if you're gonna fuck every single girl you see on the street,
you should fuck only guys that you want to have a baby with.
It doesn't matter what being proud of. Men are just less selective than women.
Wait, are you saying it's not women shouldn't be proud that they're selective, or you're saying that men shouldn't be proud?
I said men shouldn't be proud if they're gonna like sleep with every single woman on the street.
Are you a man?
Yeah, that's what's gonna. How long have you been a woman? How do you know what women want?
I have one thing to say. Women smash who they want to, men smash who they can. And that's something that's always kind of been like...
And here's the other thing, too. We just displayed this earlier with you talking about it and then you as well. A man's sexual past has almost zero influence on his attractive level. As a matter of fact, I would argue the more women he's had sex with, the more attractive he is. Yeah. So for women, it's the other way around. So like you're saying, you should be more selective. Well, the reality is the more women I have sex with, the more attractive I'm going to be to other women.
Hold on, you had a point.
Which is kind of part of hypergamy.
Yeah.
Yes. I wanted to say more so touching on the education of women. Like, from what I remember, respectfully speaking, in history, just as an example, like in textbooks, you read that the husband is out working and doing what he has to do while the woman stays home and is watching the kids or doing whatever. I feel as though having an education is probably a plus, but it's not a deal breaker. So that's where, in my opinion, like, women don't have to have a career or education. Like, if you find someone and you're lucky enough to be taken care of, then you don't have to do what the men are required to do.
The surveys that show with working women, 83% of them say that they would rather have spent more time in the home raising a child than working.
Right.
Oh, I have a question real quick for you. I don't want to disrupt the whole thing here. But Sexy Son's hypothesis and mate choice copying. Do you believe in that?
Can you explain?
Sexy Son's hypothesis is the concept where women see men with attractive traits and want their children to have those attractive traits, so they choose those men with attractive traits: broad shoulders, hip to shoulder to waist ratio, signs of masculinity. Do you understand?
I think women are attracted to those, but I think the #1 predictor of who you're going to end up with tends to be who you're around.
For sure.
So,
but then also mate choice copying. As women see men that other women choose, they find those men more attractive.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
I can't.
You should just look that up. So the idea is they show this amongst several vertebrates, where if you take, and especially amongst Homo sapiens, other primates too, even rats, when you put women around the male, other women find that male to be attractive.
They did this with chimpanzees.
Yes.
They literally, and chimpanzees are the closest to human beings. They had a male chimpanzee go to try to talk to some female, try to mate. They didn't want him, but when he had a female chimpanzee with him, the other female chimpanzees came around them.
I understand that. So I agree that could definitely be the case, but chimps aren't doing sperm competition. We're not. So I wouldn't say it's a 1-to-1 thing, but I agree. Yes, people like Like usually other people liking something does.
Okay,
I would
so
say
but
that
the thing is, it's one way. So I'm not more attracted to a woman because more men want her, but I will tell you that more women are attracted to me because women want me.
I would have to look into that. Now, I don't think that's completely absurd. I don't think that's completely absurd. Why would I just take that?
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. The term is called mate choice copying.
Okay,
Anyway,
yeah.
the
I
point
could
is,
believe it.
if
I just
mate
have to
choice
look into
copying exists, then that must mean inherently there is a group of men that get more women than other men. Does that make sense?
There is difference.
No.
What
We
I
can
mean
answer
is-
this simply. You want to know why that's just a ludicrous? I got to look into the data. Let's look at common sense. If a guy sees a girl and she's hot and her Instagram is private and she has 100 followers but she's hot, that has absolutely zero influence on his attraction to her. As a matter of fact, it'll probably go up because she's not around as many men. Men don't care about social proof and other guys liking her. If a girl's attractive, he's going to talk to her. It doesn't matter if she's a weirdo, if she's a social outcast. Her status doesn't matter. But on the other hand, if a woman, right, meets a guy, she absolutely cares about his status. And what I argue is she wants a guy at least at her status. She has 100,000 followers and a guy has 100 followers. That will make her look at him negatively. He's going to have to do some work to build attraction with her.
Depend on the woman. Like for me, it wouldn't work that way. So
Well,
I'm just,
Wait,
You're
no,
different.
it doesn't depend on the
You're
woman.
different.
This doesn't depend on. I would just say that straight up. That might be your anecdotal experience, but like we know like how consumer behavior works with like everything. The more something looks attractive, men or women, the more they
but
want
I can
it.
say for my OnlyFans, the more
intersectional-
popular I get,
from
the
an
more
intersection-
other men want to subscribe to my OnlyFans because other men are subscribing to my
I
OnlyFans.
don't know if that's true. I think they're probably subscribing to their OnlyFans because they're attracted to you, not because other men are
No,
attracted to you.
as you get more popular, you grow like it's because people say, oh, she's a
Okay,
top OnlyFans
but that's also,
subscriber. A lot
that's
of
also two things. That has to do with the algorithm, number one,
No.
and it also has to do with collabs that you do with other girls who already
I
have
don't do
followers.
collabs.
The point I'm trying to make is a woman's attraction, right? Her attractiveness is not contingent upon her social status. It has a very minor role as to her sexual market value. However, on the male side, his social status plays a significant role to his sexual market value.
It depends, right? Because like a male lawyer, for instance, he is going to be more attracted and he's going to be more likely to end up, and we can use doctors. You guys don't like when I use lawyers. So doctors are more likely, tend to marry other female doctors. A high IQ male doctor is not married. We're not seeing them marry CVS.
Okay, hold on. Let's take that argument. Let's take that argument. Let's say his wife loses her job. Is he leaving?
If her wife.
If his wife chooses to leave that profession or she loses her job, is he leaving?
Probably not. Why?
Okay, now let's reverse it. Let's say the man loses his job and loses that status. Is she leaving?
Maybe.
She's gone.
It
She's
depends
fucking
on the
gone.
thing. And a lot of times in these, so a lot of lawyers, for instance,
That
do this.
proves my point, Jasmine, that social status absolutely matters.
No, this is typically what happens in like my field is two people, both of them are lawyers, they get married, and then the woman lawyer stays home with the kids. They typically get married. You know what I'm talking about. The woman typically stays home. But if you want to marry a lawyer, for instance, the best thing you could do as a woman is not be hot on Instagram and work at CVS or be a virgin. It is to be at similar social status to the guy.
You just proved my point. You just literally proved she has the luxury of being able to leave that job, lose that status, and still be in a relationship.
Yeah,
but it would not work the other way
Because
around.
someone needs to raise the kids.
But that doesn't change my argument that men are not, they don't give a shit about status.
And
It's
so
not
what you just said is the whole premise of a lot of this evolutionary psychology stuff is based on childbirth.
Wait, no,
We're all
see,
shouting.
the point is she already gained that
Can I please say
status.
something?
Yeah, exactly.
By
She
getting
gained
that
You should
status, by
speak,
getting
because
that
just
education,
speak,
she
just
has
talk,
gained
just go into the mic and
status.
talk. Go.
Hold on. But then if she loses it, it does not affect her
you were
sexual
so
market
close.
value. But if the dude loses his status, it does change her sexual market
The
value.
argument is that
That's my point.
I understand your point, but the argument is that they already gained like a level of status that puts
To
them
get
above
that guy.
everyone else.
But then they lost it, and they still keep the guy. But if the guy loses his status, the girl leaves.
She
that proves my
doesn't. She
point.
doesn't lose her status by choosing to stay home if she's already a lawyer. Like she already went through all that. She got the money.
her job.
But wouldn't a guy if it was the other way around? But wouldn't a guy if it was the other way around?
They're choosing.
She's not gonna leave him immediately
Yeah.
because he lost a job. If she leaves
I
him,
think
it's because he
that-
hasn't
I think
been employed for a long. Okay.
I think it's one example. The whole thing we're talking about is just attraction. In the case of attraction, when women see other women being attracted to a man, they're more attracted to the man. Now you're using the thing of like products and consumerism, but it doesn't work the other. The concept of mate choice copying. Just look it up right now. It's on Wikipedia, whatever you want to look it up. When you look at mate choice copying, it only goes in one direction. It does not go in the other direction. Now that is a scientific example of status mattering more for men than it does for women. I fucked your bitch in some Gucci flip flops. This is men dunking on other men. This is men dunking on other men, in order to say, I have taken your status. When women get cheated on, it doesn't matter. If I heard a woman got cheated on, I'm not going to be like, man, I am less likely to have sex with this incredibly beautiful woman because she got cheated on. It means nothing. When men get cheated on, if they're repeatedly cheated on, like dudes are like behind their back, like, what the fuck happened to this? Women, if a guy's been cheated on 3 times in a row, it's like, does he have a micro penis? Like they start going into these, like, that's the thing. When men get cheated on, they lose massive amounts of status. When women get cheated on, they do not. And the same thing, what I said before with attraction, mate choice copying only works in one direction. And so if it works in one direction, what that means is there's this attraction cue that a few group of men, a small group of men have where they're surrounded by women, or they have more women. And because of that, again, ladies, you're offered infinite dick and you're still trying to steal each other's man. It's just a perfect example. Mate choice copying is a real thing. And because of that, there's only one way that can exist. And that is if a few men have sex with a lot of women and a large group of men have sex with very few.
I'm very, 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 very skeptical of the claim that when it comes to like consumer behavior and the way that we basically act in day-to-day life, it applies to everything but mate selection.
No. What I'm saying is there is a consumer behavior thing where it's I forgot what it's called, but I know what you're talking about. Mate choice copying the only goes in one direction.
Yeah, that's why I would be skeptical.
I think it's Robert Trivers who came up with the back in the 1970s.
What's 80% of the consumer base? Females. What do women typically do and buy? They follow other women. Women are far more to be amenable to fashion trends. They're far more likely to be followers. They consume most of everything. They contribute to the economy. Women are the ones that follow everything because women need social proof.
No, but I mean, like, when we just look at, like, one-on-one, like, studies or, like, data, just, like, looking at, like, individual behavior, consumption-based, yeah, people in general, like, this is a whole basis of, like, supply and demand or, like, of, like, price shifting. It's like, okay, the more valuable something is seen, the higher price it has. So I think the same would apply for women. The more men want this woman that they can't obtain, let's say, the more valuable the woman seems. It seems to be,
but you're missing the point that it's not required.
Oh no,
Do you understand? Like, and this is where you guys like you like. I don't know why. Like, again, arguing in bad faith. What I'm trying to say is that cool, a girl's desired by a bunch of guys, but is that required for her to be attractive? No. Absolutely not. But for a man, let's say he has like not attractive, he's fat, whatever, but he has a lot of social status, he can absolutely pull women. So what I'm saying is that social status matters. And here's the other thing too. It's crazy to me that we're even having this argument. This is shown in primates. This is shown in fucking lions. This is shown in birds, etc. In almost a bunch of different animal species. Men that have other women end up having more women.
Yeah,
that's how it is. You go into a nightclub, where are all the women concentrated? In the fucking section with 2 guys, 20, 30 girls.
Facts.
Like, you guys cannot argue. It's irrefutable that women absolutely select for social proof and social status.
Yeah, I don't disagree that people, like, look at